Okay, so let's start with our second chapter. Okay, basically it is, if you see your mat, there is a levy and collection. Okay, and under that, there are 4 to 5 chapters, 3, 4 chapters are there. Okay, supplies there, reverse charges there, compositor mix supplies there. Okay, I think there are 1 or 2 more. Okay, so we're specifically we're starting with the part supply now. Okay, and yes, one thing that I'll request you all during when we continue supply is that, okay, try to attend all the sessions live, especially for supply. Okay, and because if you get a good grip over the topic supply now, then GST will just be a numbers game for you. Okay, because everything, whatever we'll discuss after this chapter, na, there will be some reference to this chapter. I'll say, if you remember, we read this. If you remember, we read that. Okay. Now, whenever I use the word supply, what general meaning you get from the word supply?
Sale.
Layman, sale, something to transfer, correct? Something is being transferred, something is being given away from one person to another person, correct? Now, this supply has a what I can say is the grassroots level thing for GST. Okay, because we'll read now that what actually supply is all about. Okay, as per GST, what is supply? And remember, if there is no supply, then there can never ever be GST. Okay, at few places where we'll read that it is not a supply as per the general provisions, but yes, there will be some exceptions. There will be some deeming provisions where will be said that deemed as if it is a supply. Correct. So supply is what is the basis to levy GST. So that means no supply means no GST. Yes, provided some exceptions are there to us. Okay. Now, why actually is now see, if I talk about the previous law, okay, you know a little bit about previous law. We have discussed that much till now. Correct. For manufacture, it was excise. For sale, it was CST. For intersale, it was VAT. Providing service, so you have to pay service tax. Correct. So multiple event used to be there and multiple taxes used to be there. Correct. And what GST do promises us? GST do promises us that we are one nation, one tax. We are here to simplify your IDT part. Okay, we are here to make the complications very easy. We are here to make your business grow at a faster rate by having lesser compliances. Correct. So do you think that if I would have said that, for example, you do one activity, GST will be there. You do second activity, GST will be there. You do one more activity, GST is there. Correct. Will that have reduced something? Definitely not. Correct. That's why supply is the word which is a basis for GST. This is a supply. Then definitely GST is there. You have to pay GST. GST liability will attract on you. Correct. So this is the most and the foremost important part. Whenever we talk about GST, we talk about that it is a supply. When I say that this product has a GST, that means whenever you supply that product, okay, GST has to be charged. Yes. Okay. So it is basically levy and collection, and under that we are starting supply. Now, supply is the taxable event. Okay. Taxable event, charging event, call it by whatever name. If there will be supply, GST will definitely be there. Correct? Taxable event and the GST law is supply of goods or service or both. It means no supply, no GST. Okay. The term supply has been inclusively defined in the Act. Okay. And this supply is all about Section 7. Section 7, the whole Section 7 speaks about what actually is supply. Correct. So can you understand the importance of it, that a separate section has been provided to it just to make supply clear to everybody? The meaning and the scope of supply under GST can be understood in the terms of the following 6 parameters, which can be adopted to characterize a transaction as supply. Means 6 parameters are there, okay, below. Okay, if this 6 parameters is clear to you, somewhere or other you'll come to know actually what supply, what the GST means to say about supply. Okay, let's read it out. Okay, so supply of goods or services, supply of anything other than goods or services does not attract GST. Okay, some basic things they are saying. Okay, after this we'll discuss as well that what actually goods is and what actually services are. Okay, we'll discuss that also. But they're saying that supply of goods or service. Okay, but if anything other than goods and services supplied, they will not attract GST.
Okay, can you give an example on the exclusion?
Yes.
Can you give an example on the exclusion? Like
on the exclusion, you will see that money and security. Sorry, not this security. Sorry. This securities. Because whenever we'll read the definition of goods and service now, we'll see that money and security is neither the goods or neither a service. Correct. So you do anything with money and securities, that won't be taxed. Okay. But suppose for an example, what you are doing conversion of money. You are doing conversion of money. Correct. Now think and reply. Will that attract GST? This is a logical thinking. What do you feel like? I'm saying money and securities are neither goods nor services, so it will not attract any GST. But I'm saying that I have a business of conversion of money. I'm earning something from here. Correct. So conversion of money will always attract GST. Goods and service definition, that will be clear. Yes. So this was our first parameter. Second parameter says that supply should be made for consideration. What is consideration now? Group 1, have you read in law? Yes, everybody.
Something in return.
Something in return. Quid pro quo. Correct. Maybe in cash, maybe in kind. So what they are saying, supply should be made for a consideration. That means something which has been provided for free is definitely not a supply. I can say that. Correct. So this is the second parameter. First is that supply, GST will attract only on supply of goods and service. And we have discussed the part that money and securities are excluded. Correct. And supply should be for a consideration. Okay. Free of supply, definitely. Anything which has been done is we consider has been done free is not a supply. Okay. Third parameter. They are saying supply should be made in the course or furtherance of business. What actually they mean to say? That for whatever you are doing now, for whatever we are saying now, suppose for an example, I have a furniture. Correct? Okay, it has been 10 years old. 10-year-old. And now I'm selling it off. Selling it off. Correct? And if you remember, I said that selling is a supply. Supply means sale. Supply means sale. Correct? So on selling of it, will it attract GST?
It is a personal means.
Correct. It is a person. It's a personal. It's not your business. Correct. Now, if I say that I have a furniture business, now I am selling it. It is not 10 years old. I have just manufactured it and now I am selling. Will it attract GST?
Hoga.
Yes, it will.
Yes,
correct.
Yes.
So by the word should be made in the course or furtherance of business is that it should be your business. Correct. If you are transferring, if you are selling your personal asset, correct. If you are transferring your personal asset, that doesn't mean that GST liability will attract. It should be your business in the course or furtherance of business. Yes, everybody. Clear? Yes. Okay. Now, fourth one. Supply should be made by a taxable person. What actually they mean to say? Supply should be made by a taxable person. Now suppose for an example. How to present it? Okay. Suppose, okay, there is a Raju. Okay, he has a tea stall. Correct. He has a tea stall. This is his business. Correct. Now, whenever you'll go to Raju's shop, okay, and you'll order a tea. Correct. You'll order a tea. Do you think he will charge GST from you? 5 रुपए चाय के, 1.5 रुपया GST, 6.5 रुपए हो गए. Or do you think that 5 rupees tea has a tax in it as well? Correct. Why I'm saying? Because see, I'm not trying to explain you what actually is a taxable person, but Raju, who has a tea stall, definitely GST liability won't be falling on him. Correct. Just understand with this one. Okay. Because taxable person we need something to understand. Okay. So that means it should be made by a taxable person. Now, suppose for an example, here is a Raju. Raju again. Okay. Now he has a cafe. Correct. He have a cafe. Now you go and order a cafe. Do you think there will be GST on it?
Yes, sir.
Because you feel like ना he is now rich. ये आया ना अंदर से कि अरे वो चाय वाला जो राजू था ना वो तो गरीब था, वो कहाँ से जीएसटी देगा बेचारा. करेक्ट. लेकिन ये राजू जो कैफे वाला ये तो अमीर लग रहा है ना, इससे जीएसटी लेंगे. करेक्ट. तो just have this much of differentiation for the point being. Now taxable person means a kind on whom GST liability will be there, who will be able to pay the GST. Correct. And non taxable person means जिसके ऊपर GST जल्दी आएगा नहीं. Correct. Provisions have not yet been applied on him. So the fourth parameter was that supply should be made by a taxable person. A non-taxable person, if they made a supply, that won't be constituted, that won't be considered under the GST. Correct. Now the fifth parameter says that supply should be a taxable supply. Correct. Best example I have a liquor shop. Correct. So I am selling liquors to different person. Will that attract GST? Yes, everybody. Will that attract GST?
No, sir.
Why? Now I want to know why.
जीएसटी से बाहर है ना, जीएसटी परव्यू से.
अच्छा, जीएसटी के परव्यू से बाहर है तो मतलब जीएसटी में लीकर में मतलब दारू पीने वाले दारू पर डील करेंगे तो जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा. Yes, who all agree to him? Or anyone has anything other to say? Anything else to say?
What is he telling actually? I don't understand.
Great. He is actually saying that the one who is dealing in liquor na, here there will be no GST liability because liquor is kept outside the purview of GST. So do you agree to him that if I deal in alcoholic liquor for human consumption, there won't be any GST on me. GST liability won't be on me. I'll have that old regime liability, CST or VAT.
But liquor, we saw that it is coming under state tax, no? So GST
So
is
no. You are correct. Who was that? Sumit was correct. Okay, because GST is liquor is outside of GST, na? Center agreed with that only, that on GST never ever there will be no tax GST on it. That's why on sale what it will be, there will be CST or VAT as the case may be. So there won't be any GST on it. And that's what this point says, that supply should be a taxable supply. It should not be a non-taxable supply. For example, 5 petroleum products. Correct. But can you name something which we cannot say that it is not a taxable supply? Remember, on manufacture, central excise is there, but on sale, GST is there. Correct. So sale of tobacco, supply of tobacco is a taxable supply. Yes, everybody.
Both. दोनों लगेगा उस पे. मतलब वैट सीएसटी प्लस जीएसटी दोनों रखता है टोबैको पे?
नहीं, वैट सीएसटी नहीं लगता, उसके बेचने पे जीएसटी लगता है, बनाने पे एक्साइज लगता है, बेचने पे वैट सीएसटी जीएसटी, बाप रे बाप।
नहीं, बेचने पे नहीं, मतलब वो बिगिनिंग्स में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में अलग लगा और बेचने पे
मैन्युफैक्चरिंग पे
जीएसटी अलग।
एक्साइज पे लगता है, हाँ, मैन्युफैक्चर करने पे
ठीक है ना?
ओल्ड टैक्स रिजिम लगता है, इनडायरेक्ट वाला, बेचने पे जीएसटी लगता है। ओके, नाउ द सिक्स्थ पैरामीटर इज दैट सप्लाई शुड बी मेड विद इन द टैक्सेबल टेरिटरी. What do you understand by the word taxable territory? That it should be within India. Correct? I hope you are going to say that only. Correct. The taxable territory means it should be in India. So, for example, now say for an example, okay, I'm sending some goods to outer countries. Will that not be supply? Will that not attract any GST? Or there is some another name for it? I'm sending something out of India.
ड्यूटी.
Customs and all will come under.
Export will be there, correct? Okay, and export is at duty free. Okay, similar, this 99% products are there which you export, there won't be any tax on it, and in export there is no GST. Okay, but in import there is a part of GST in it. So that's why supply should be made within the taxable territory. That means it should be within the India. Okay, if it goes outside the India, then that will come under custom, that won't come under GST. Okay, so what are the 6 parameters that we discussed? We discussed that GST will be attracted only when there is a supply of goods or service. Other than goods and service, there will be no GST. Then we discussed that it should be for some consideration. Then we discussed that it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Then we discussed that it must be done by a taxable person and should be for a taxable supply. Correct? And at last, but not the least, is that it should be made within the taxable territory. That means it should be made within India for the time being now. This much is clear to everybody, correct? Now you'll see now these points will only form base of our discussion. Okay, there will be some exceptions to it, there will be something else to it, and we'll keep on discussing those things. Excuse me. Now see, it came at a very first stage, exceptions. To what? To those exceptions to those 6 parameters. What is that? Any transaction involving supply of goods or service without consideration is not a supply, bearing few exceptions in which transaction is deemed to be a supply even without consideration. Okay, we'll read something where we'll read that if there is no consideration, then also it will be termed as supply. Okay. रुचि ये किसकी बात कर रहा है? विदाउट कंसिडरेशन भी सप्लाई समझेंगे, कुछ नाम था ना इसका, आपको याद होना चाहिए. Okay, this is what we'll read with the name of Schedule 1. Okay, there are 3 schedules in whole GST Act, and all the 3 will be done in the supply. Okay, so schedule 1 is what? Right now, let's have just this much. Schedule 1 is exception to consideration. What I am writing today? Exception to consideration. Okay, there will be 4 entries which will read that if it is done without consideration, then also it will be termed as supply. Next, further import of service for consideration, whether or not in the course or furtherance of business, is treated as supply. See what they are saying. They are clearly mentioning something. Further import of service means if you are importing service from outside India for consideration, okay, consideration should be there, whether or not in the course or furtherance of business is treated as supply. Now, here only we read na, this point. Supply should be made in the course or furtherance of business, correct? And now exception to it just came, import of service for consideration with or without with or without in the course or furtherance of business is treated as supply. That means if there is an import of service for consideration, no need to check the other parameter whether it is in the course of business or not. Correct?
Sir, can you explain with an example? I'm not able to follow.
With example?
What exactly they mean?
See, right now we discussed that supply should be for goods and services. Correct? Along with that, there should be consideration. Correct? Along with that, one more condition that we read, it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Correct? Plus, it should be made by a taxable person. In our example, Raju Tea Wala and Raju Cafe Wala. Correct? Taxable person. Plus, it should be a taxable supply. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption and 5 petroleum products. Plus, it should be a supply of a it should be taxable supply. Correct? Plus, it should be within taxable territory. Correct. That's what we discussed, that for supply, this all has to be there. There has to be a goods and service. Along with that, there has to be consideration. Plus, it should be in the course or furtherance of business. And all this should be done by a taxable person. And of a taxable supply, it should not be of alcoholic liquor for human consumption or those 5 petroleum products. And it should be made within the taxable territory. These are the 6 parameters we just read now. Correct? That for supply or to attract GST, this all has to be there. Correct. But after that only we studied an exception, which said that if there is a supply, okay, I'm writing in relation to it, okay, so that you understand it. If there is a supply of goods and services, okay, without consideration, rest all the points are there, then also it will be supply. And I said that it will be schedule 1. Okay, the next exception what we read is that import of service. Import of service. Import of service means I am importing a service from outside India. Correct? Import means to bring something into India from outside. Correct. Now, when I'm importing service, now suppose how can we import service? Suppose for an example, okay, I wanted to design my office. Okay, so I took architectural services. Okay, from someone who is outside India. Correct. So what actually I'm doing, I'm taking his service. Okay, or he is coming in India to provide me that service. Correct. So it is the import of service. Correct. And we read here as well that goods and service for consideration in the course of furtherance of business is what will constitute a supply. But here they are saying that if there is the import of service plus there is a consideration, then it will be a supply even if made, even if, right, let's like even if not made in the course or furtherance of business. Okay, so whatever parameters we just read now, that these all should be there for a supply to be there. Correct. So among that only we got 2 exceptions where consideration, if there is no consideration, then also it will be supply. Okay, and one more is that for it might not be in the course or furtherance of business, but it is specifically for import of service. So if you are importing service plus you are paying commission consideration, okay, It may be for your business or it may be for your personal purpose as well. It will be treated as supply and GST will be levied on it. Is this clear?
Point two is clear, no doubts. First point of exception. Schedule 1 means, is it something like some businesses?
No. Why are you going into that right now? We will discuss now. Don't worry. It's there in our discussion. Okay, I just named it that there will be a schedule 1 where we'll be reading these transactions. This one, where without consideration will be a supply. Okay, this is what we call it schedule 1. That's it. Keep it, that's it. Point wise clear now that whatever parameters we just read, we got 2 exceptions to it, where if one is without consideration will be supply, and if one is not in the course or furtherance of business, so that will also be a supply. Correct. But for the consideration one, we haven't yet got the names, that what actually those are. Correct. But for this one, that may or may not be in the course or furtherance of business, we have got a name. What is that? Import of service. Is that much clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
Shiva?
yes.
Yeah, I have a doubt. Can you please clarify? Will Netflix be an example for import of service?
No.
Why? No, we are paying subscription, right?
No, that will fall under OIDAR services, online information data and access retrieval services. That is there in our syllabus, but at a very later stage. Once we go to this topic, you'll get this Netflix, Amazon Prime. You all will get that.
Okay.
Okay. It will form part at a later stage.
Okay.
Yeah. See, what I'll do right now, okay, I'll discuss those points which points, if made without consideration, will be supplied. See, okay, I'm just reading out those names. Okay, that's what we discussed, that it will be schedule 1. Correct. Just for clearing out Archana once. Okay, what I said, schedule 1, so that it should not be there in your mind. Otherwise, next points may not be clear to you. Okay.
No, only one thing, sir. Only one thing I had doubt. Like schedule 1 has a list of activities or business, and yes, that is there. Okay, fine. We will go to it later also.
Yeah. Okay. If that is clear, then done. Okay. Now we are going to read about scope of supply. Scope of supply means now we are going to see what actually has Act defined that what shall be a supply. Okay. Now we say that we discussed that sale is supply. Okay. Transfer is supply. What are there anything more? If yes, then what is that? Then that is section 7.1, which includes, okay, which supply includes all forms of supply of goods or service or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, or disposal made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in the course or furtherance of business. Okay, now you can see that how wider the supply has covered. You sell, that is a supply. You transfer something, that will be a supply. You do exchange offer, okay, exchange old product for new, that is also a supply. You do the barter system, like previously it used to be done, okay, goods for goods. Okay, you may license something, you may give license to something, okay. You may rent it something, that will attract GST. You may lease something, or you may dispose of. Dispose means you are just, it's not like selling, it's like throwing off. Correct. Disposal also if you do, which is made or agreed to be made for some consideration. Means what is the important aspect for all this? That consideration should be there and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Okay. So actually supply has a very wider meaning, which says that supply will not only include sale. Means if you're selling something, that is not only what supply is up to. Supply is the sale, supply is the transfer, okay, it is the barter, it is the exchange, it is the license, it is the rental, lease, disposal. All of these are are different forms of supply. So why are we studying that these all are different forms of supply? So that if anything in relation to them is done, we can attract GST. Correct. Whatever we're studying right now is for what? For understanding that what actually is a supply and why are we actually understanding this is supply, so that we can know at what places there is a liability to pay GST. Is that sentence clear to everybody?
Clear, sir.
Okay. हाँ, पूछिए सुमित, क्या पूछना?
सर इसको अगर शॉर्ट में बोला जाए तो ये बोल सकते हैं ना कि कोई भी गुड्स या सर्विस जिसमें जीएसटी लग रहा है वो सप्लाई कहलाएगी शॉर्ट?
नहीं, नहीं, कभी नहीं बोल
नहीं।
सकते, कभी नहीं बोल सकते। हर वो चीज मतलब जो हर वो सेल, ट्रांसफर, बार्टर जहां पे गुड्स और सर्विस हो रहे हैं वहां पे जीएसटी लगेगा। हर वो जगह जहां जीएसटी लगेगा वो सप्लाई, ऐसा नहीं। सप्लाई होने से जीएसटी लगता है, जीएसटी होने से सप्लाई नहीं लगता। करेक्ट। चार्जेबिलिटी फॉर जीएसटी इज सप्लाई. It's not like that GST is paid, that's why it is supply. Okay, never ever think like this. Okay. Okay, now we'll quickly move on to a lower part and we'll discuss what is sale, what is transfer, what is barter, what is exchange, so that we get a better picture of that. Yes, that's section 7.1 clause A. Okay, more specifically 7.1 is more than enough. If we say 7.1, that's more than enough. All forms of supply of goods or services or both, such as sale, transfer, it will be transfer, okay, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, or dispose, made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in the course or furtherance of business. Okay. Okay. Now I will discuss each of the terms separately. Okay. Now sale. The term sale is defined under various state VAT laws. Sale means is a sale of good made within the state for cash or deferred payment or other valuable consideration, but does not include a mortgage. Okay. Simple meaning of sale. We know na what actually is sale. Correct. Sale involves transfer of property in goods from one person to another person for consideration. Correct. We know this. Under CGST law, sale is treated as supply leviable to GST. However, the definition of sale has not been provided under GST law. Okay, the GST itself has not defined anything. Okay. Mortgage, hypothecation, okay, charge or pledge is not supply, hence GST will not be levied. Let's see example. What actually is sale? Okay. Mr. X sold a laptop worth 1 lakh and issued invoice in favor of Mr. Y. Okay. So Mr. X is doing what? Is selling its laptop, correct? Worth 1 lakh rupees to Mr. Y. Now ownership in laptop is transferred to Mr. Y. Such transaction shall be covered in the sale. It is the supply of goods leviable to GST. Okay. I'm not saying that what amount of GST will be levied, but yes, if he is selling something, that means along with the sale, he also has to charge GST to it. Okay. That was sale. The next word was transfer. The term transfer means where ownership may not be transferred, but the right in the goods is transferred. Correct. With right, the right to use. Okay, means I'm giving you to use it for some time. Correct. Example, goods sent for demonstration on a returnable basis. Is it supply? If you're sending goods on demonstration basis, for demonstration on returnable basis, do you think that it should be constituted as a supply and should attract GST? Definitely not. Correct. But if I say that it has went for demonstration and there only it is sold, now don't you think that supply should be there? It is a supply and GST should be levied on that transaction. And yes, that is. Answer will be no, it would not be considered as supply as there is no transfer of title involved. Okay, so wherever there will be transfer of title or right in or right in the goods, that will be treated as transfer, and those transactions will be considered as supply and will attract GST. How much, okay, what way, that's a later part of discussion. Right now we are trying to crack what actually is a supply and what will attract GST. Okay, there are many more chapters left behind. Okay, exemptions. Okay, where we'll see that it is a supply, but they have said that no, it should not be treated as supply. Okay. The next example, Mr. A is the owner of Xerox machine. He transferred the right to operate the Xerox machine to Mr. B for a consideration of 10,000 per month for 4 months. Correct. A kind of hire purchase. Hence, the ownership of the machine is not transferred, but the right in the machine is transferred. Correct. So it will be supply of service leviable to GST. Okay. Why supply of service? Because he's not giving the title in goods. Correct. He's just giving him the machine to use. Okay. So sell is clear to everybody and transfer as well. Okay. Both has the same meaning where right has been transferred and okay, and consideration is one of the most important aspect in sale and transfer case. Okay.
Shivam,
Sir, excuse me.
Shivam.
Yes.
Yeah, in the above two examples, there is no course or furtherance of business. And how come how come you say that it's a supply of goods and supply of services? Only consideration and service or goods is being present. There is no line mentioning that is in the course or furtherance of business.
What do you think a Xerox machine can be of?
It's I mean he's a owner of Xerox machine. He transfers right means it's like service, right? I understand.
Who will own a Xerox machine, Madhu?
Mr. A.
Who means for house purpose? For printing something in the home, he will own a Xerox machine. Definitely will have a shop. Definitely he's having some Xerox business. That's why he's owning a machine. Think logically. Okay, now goods sent for demonstration purpose. Do you think that he has sent his household product for demonstration? Definitely not. Correct? Demonstration means what? You are giving it on some auction or some, what I can say, display of goods. You will not send your home furnitures, tables, fans, correct? Definitely you have a business and you are sending those goods. Yes, Madhu?
Okay. Yeah. So now I got it.
Let's keep it logical, correct? If I'm discussing this Xerox machine, goods sent, definitely business is there. Yes, Archana?
I'm asking something. That same doubt, not that doubt. But example 4, that is goods sent for demo, no? In this case, because it's of a returnable basis, we are not considering it as supply. Supposing you are telling the some other point, I could not get that point correctly. If supposing on demo, it has been sold, then we will consider it as supply. Is it like
supply?
that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay. That was my doubt.
Okay. I think I said that line too.
Yeah,
suppose it is sold. No issues. Now barter. Okay, barter is not new for us, correct? Our ancestors or forefathers, they were the one who introduced this, correct? Where there was not exchange of goods, not for currency, but exchange of goods for goods, services for services, or goods or services. Okay, barter means, it means the exchange of goods and productive services for other goods and productive services without the use of money. Correct. So that is also considered as a supply. Now see this example. Mr. C is a practicing cost accountant, provided services to Messrs. A Limited. Okay. So a cost accountant has provided his service. Let's see now. Messrs. A, who is a dealer of laptops. Now in return, Messrs. A Limited given Mr. C 2 laptops. Correct. Don't you think that in place of money, she has transferred something? Correct. Now just imagine. Okay. See, reading anything now, you have to imagine as well. Now, suppose for an example, if law wouldn't have mentioned that barter is also a supply, don't you think people would have started doing this? I'll give you services, you give me some goods, no GST. Don't you think that would have become one of the most foolish way of how government would have operated the law? Correct. Always try to think from different perspective. Sir, if not this, then what? Correct. So that will help you to understand things in a more better way. Correct. One thing which I said, I think in your session only, that don't study to pass. Correct. You can pass easily. Study to explore, study to learn. Correct. If you learn, you can never ever fail. Okay. Motivation is ended. We will move to the example. So what actually happened? So Mr. C, who was a cost accountant, provided services to a business, and that business in return provided him 2 laptops. Here, two-way supply takes place. Mr. C is making taxable supply of services and Mr. A Limited is making taxable supply of goods. Hence, tax is payable by both. Hence, tax is payable by both. I'm expecting a question. Who is going to ask? Sir, how both? Who is going to ask?
Shivam, Mr. C is providing, he's a cost accountant. He's providing service to Miss A. And Mr. A gives 2 laptops for C. So both is, one is service, one is good. So correct. It's for consideration. So it is taxable supply.
Now, but the word is written, hence tax is payable by both. Both will pay tax.
Yeah, for service they will pay, and for the good, for the laptop they will pay.
Okay.
Both.
Correct.
Both over.
You said correctly. It might be that they might not have clearly mentioned, but yes, whatever you said, I got. That is correct. Okay. Yeah. I don't think anyone has a doubt that why the word is here taxable. Tax is payable by both. Correct. Because here exchange of product is happening now. Correct. So it is a barter, and see, providing services is also under GST, as well as laptop is also for a GST. Correct. So for both of them, there is some monetary value. Okay. So both the monetary value will be assigned to their parties, and whatever GST amount is coming, both have to pay. Okay. It will be assumed as Mr. C has provided some services and received consideration, and Mr. A has sold a laptop and received consideration. Okay. These two will be separated in 2 different perspectives. Correct. Okay. Now exchange. When 2 persons mutually transfers the ownership of one thing for ownership of another. This is exchange. Correct. Exchange is not new for us. You go to to buy phone, you exchange your old phone and you get and you pay some additional cash and you get your new phone. Correct. That is what exchange is all about. So let's simply read the example. Mr. A is a dealer of new phones. He supplied for 20,000. Okay, what he supplied? He supplied phone maybe for 20,000 to Mr. B along with the exchange of an old phone. And if the price of the new phone without exchange is 24,000, okay, the open market value of the new phone is 24,000. Mr. A is liable to pay tax on 24,000, whereas Mr. B is also liable to pay GST on 4,000 as if he is a registered person. Okay. Time now, just cut out this line if he is a registered person. Just strike out the line, okay? Neither you can understand right now and neither I can make you understand right now what they are trying to say if he is a registered person. Okay, so actually what is happening, he's supplied, okay, this example is not complete. Okay, phone maybe for 20,000, okay, along with the exchange of an old phone, correct? So along with old phone, he paid 20,000 as well for that new phone, and the market value of the new phone is 24,000. Correct. So what actually is the price? What price GST will be calculated? It will be 24,000. Correct. That's as simple as that. Because whenever exchange happens now, we'll see this in that is excuse me, in value of supply, you have a chapter value of supply. There na, you will read this, that whenever there is an exchange of a product, na, we tend to find the market value of that product, so as to determine the tax liability on it. Okay. Right now, na, just understand the logic, concept. This is supply or not. Don't even think about whether GST is payable or not. Okay. Just think that, okay, this is considered as supply. That's it. That's what has to be done right now. Now, license, where one person grants to another or to a definite number of other persons a right to do or to continue to do in or upon the immovable property of the grantor, the right is called license. Okay. Definitely nowadays copyrights and all licensing, correct? If you have developed some software and you are giving it others to use, okay, so that is a licensing business. So that is also considered as a supply. Now let's read the example. Mr. X, a developer of information technology software and a holder of license thereon. License to use software was given to different clients, 18 lakhs. Hence, Mr. X is liable to pay GST whether he transfers such right permanently or temporarily, as the case may be. Correct. So whatever he charged from total customers were 18 lakh rupees. Correct. So this is that is what he's charging something, as against is giving the right to use them. Okay. So on this 18 lakh, GST has to be calculated. Whether he has sold it or temporarily transferred it, no matter. Okay. If he has sold it, definitely then it is a sale case. Okay. But if you have just given it for temporary use, then that is a license case. And both the license and sale are included in supply. Correct. If you feel like you haven't got it, stop me right at that point. Okay. Okay. And next example, a Chennai-based company has been awarded mineral exploration contract for 18 months in respect of specific sites in Mumbai by a Mumbai-based corporation. Okay. So Chennai-based company, okay, has been awarded a mineral exploration contract, okay, in places in Mumbai, okay, for 18 months by a Mumbai-based corporation, that is local authority. As a result, Chennai-based company got license to extract mineral exploration for the period of 18 months. Correct. They have been allowed that for 18 months, you can do the mineral exploration over here. You have got that license. Mumbai-based company supplied taxable services. Mumbai-based company supplied the taxable services. GST is liable to be paid by Chennai-based company on license fee paid by supplier under reverse charge. Okay. What actually is a reverse charge? Just no need to think right now. Okay. So what actually they are saying is that a Chennai-based company, okay, have been awarded a contract. Correct. If they have awarded a contract, do you think it has been done free of cost? Definitely not. They would have charged something. Correct. So whatever they have charged is a business of licensing, because he's giving license to the Chennai-based company that at this location you can do mineral exploration for 18 months, and this is the price. So whatever price they are taking, that will be under taxable scheme. Reverse charge. What actually is the reverse charge? Hold a bit.
So can you explain that reverse charge once again?
I was thinking I shouldn't, but okay, when you ask, okay, but on one condition, I'll just explain it right now. What only once, if you get it, that's okay. If don't, please don't ask questions, okay? Because that's a bit more going into concept. Okay. Now see, actually what happens, okay, there are two ways we pay tax. One is a normal charge. Okay, this is known by all, and this is what we all know always. What actually is happening? Suppose here is Mr. A, okay, who is a seller. Correct. Here is Mr. B, who is the buyer. Correct. So what will be happening? Mr. A will be selling goods, correct, to Mr. B. And what Mr. B will be doing? Mr. B will be paying him price. Along with that, he will also pay GST to him. Correct? Or let's do it like this. He will pay price. Suppose the price he paid was 12,000 rupees. Correct? Among this 12,000, 10,000 was cost of the product and 2,000 was GST. Correct? And this GST has been collected by Mr. A. And what Mr. A will do? We know that the liability to pay tax, to deposit the tax is not on the buyer but on the seller. So what Mr. A will do? Mr. A will take this 2,000 rupees. 2,000 rupees, and he will deposit this to the government. Correct? Any rocket science? That's what we know, that we pay the tax and seller deposit it to the government. Yes, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Now, there is a concept of reverse charge. Reverse charge. Okay. Specifically, we are reading section 7. After this, we'll read section 8, and then we'll move on to section 9. Okay. Section 9 is reverse charge. 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4, 9.5. Only 5 subsections on it. Just I'm explaining what actually happens in reverse charge. Suppose, okay, again I'm saying there is a Mr. A who is the seller. Okay, here is the Mr. B who is the buyer. Correct? Mr. A is providing the goods to Mr. B. Correct? And Mr. B is paying the price to me. But suppose, okay, we are discussing reverse charge. So this goods is under reverse charge, just this much. So now what price he is paying, he is only paying 10,000 rupees. Now you'll say 2,000 GST kahan gaya, sir? That is there. This 2,000 GST is retained by Mr. B, and Mr. B is eligible to deposit it to the government, not Mr. A, but Mr. B will deposit it to the government. Now you understand reverse charge. Why reverse? Because here's the liability to deposit the tax is not on seller, but on buyer. This much is clear or not? Why, when, which product, later on. Just have this concept.
Okay, sir. Okay, fine.
Correct?
Yeah.
Concept is clear, na? Why,
yes.
When, in section 9.
I was about to ask, but you have kept us.
Yeah, because for that, I have to go on to 9.1, then I have to go to 9.2, I have to go to 9.3, I have to go to 9.4 and 9.5. So that means I have to complete the whole chapter.
Okay, sir.
Just let's keep the concept like this. What actually happens in reverse charge? Why, when, where? We have a lot more time to discuss this. Okay, reverse charge is clear. Normal charge is, only the difference is that नॉर्मल चार्ज में सेलर टैक्स पे करता है, रिवर्स चार्ज में सेलर टैक्स नहीं पे करता है. वो जो टैक्स होता है ना, वो बायर अपने पास रखता है और वो खुद गवर्नमेंट को जमा करता है. बस इतना ही चेंजेस. और नॉर्मल चार्ज, रिवर्स चार्ज. ओके, नाउ वी हैड द rental as well under supply. Rental means periodical payment for use of another's property. Rent is to pay on monthly. So rent will also attract GST. So if you are receiving rent from something, okay, so it is supply of what it will be.
Is it only for commercial thing, sir? Commercial on buildings?
No, it can be for anything. Property is given, so it can be anything.
Even for normal residential, also we will have to pay GST. Is it like that?
No. That is, see, right now if I say, I'll say yes, but in exemption chapter, we'll read that if the rent, if a particular rent of a property is up to this much, then no GST. More than that amount, then GST.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. See, Actually, what is happening now? See, you have so many things to ask to me. Correct. I know. But right now, I cannot say everything to you because this is what our syllabus is all about. Okay. So that's why I'm saying this repeatedly, that right now, don't try to understand how GST, why GST, who will pay GST. Just understand this is supply. Okay. Like at first we do A, then we do B, then we do C, correct? It has to be like this. Okay. So please bear me up. Okay. Now, suppose for an example, if you are getting rent from a property, what do you think that will be goods or services?
It will be services.
It will be services. Everybody agree to Priyanka? Agree with Priyanka?
But what service are we really providing? So we're just giving our place, and we're getting a money for it.
So what do you think? That will be goods or services? Just general question.
We are not giving any goods, and that house is not a good.
Correct. Yeah. We're giving right to use.
Not goods, but how can we say it is a service? That is my question.
Right to use.
Okay.
Right to use is a service. Correct.
Yes.
Always keep discussing things. Okay. So that what actually happens that sometimes you might not have any idea, but other might help you to get that idea. Okay. So especially in my session, try to interact with each other the more you can. सुबह कुछ हुआ था interaction लेके. Okay. Rentals example. Mr. A owns a residential building in a prime commercial locality. Large vacant land in the backyard is given on rent of 21,80,000 per month to a parking contractor. Okay. Mr. B, who has set up a parking facility on the said land, is on the said land. Correct. It is a taxable supply of service, and hence Mr. A is liable to pay GST. Why? He has that residential unit and he is giving it on rent. So he is the one who is receiving the rent. Correct. So he will, along with rent, he will also collect the GST from Mr. B, on whom he has given rent, and he will deposit it to the government. Normal charge.
Will B also liable to pay GST?
B will be liable to pay GST on its parking business. That is a separate concept.
Like double taxation, sir?
No. Why double taxation?
Same premise, same service.
No. Not on same premise. What I said, you missed it. I said that yes, B might also pay tax, but that may be on his business, parking facility business, not on rent and land.
Okay.
Because he's using it on rent now. So what he will do? Let's assume in P&L what he will do. He will every year he will debit some rent expenses from profit and loss account. Correct? Just a second. Okay. He'll deduct rent from his expenses P&L account. Correct? So why to pay tax? And whatever amount he is paying the rent, he is getting deduction in his business. So why again he will pay tax on it? Okay. Link. Always have a link. हाँ सुमित जी बोलिए.
तो इसमें ये भी तो बोल सकते हैं ना कि मिस्टर ए सर्विस दे रहा है तो पैसा वो ले रहा है.
हाँ
ठीक है. जीएसटी लगा के वो दे रहा है तो वही ना गवर्नमेंट को जमा कराएगा.
हाँ वही तो बात है. वही बात है. नहीं, अर्चना जी का पूछने का मतलब कुछ दूसरा था. वो किसी और पर्सपेक्टिव में पूछना चाह रही.
हाँ, मगर
सेम रेंट पे दो लोग, सेम प्रॉपर्टी पे दो लोग टैक्स देंगे क्या? वो ये पूछना चाह रहे.
नहीं, जैसे ये पार्किंग का बिजनेस कर रहा है, पार्किंग के लिए जो पैसा लेगा उसके ऊपर जो जीएसटी लगाएगा
अलग चीज है ना. वो टोटली अलग चीज है. हमारा भी पॉइंट है कि मिस्टर ए बिल्डिंग दे रहा है, रेंट रिसीव कर रहा है और रेंटल सप्लाई में आता है, तो इस पे जीएसटी लगेगा नहीं लगेगा बाद में देखेंगे. ऐसी चीजों को डिस्कस करना है. ठीक है. सप्लाई है कि नहीं अभी डिस्कस करना है. रेंट टैक्स देना है कि नहीं, ये बात की डिस्कशन है. ठीक है. ओके. अनदर एग्जांपल. Mr. X, the owner of a residential building in a commercial locality, ground floor is given on rent to Mr. Y for a monthly rent of 60,000. Mr. Y issues same as his residence. It is a supply of service, however specifically exempted for GST. Yes, Archana. I told you now that yes, taxability is there, but up to some limit. Now see here, when the limit was 21,80,000. It's saying that it's liable to pay GST, correct? But here, when the monthly rate is up to 60,000, he is not liable to pay GST. Okay, so rent is taxable provided a monthly rent figure is given. Okay.
So the exemption is in whole thing or in this example only it is given?
ना है सच में है एग्जाम्पशन. एक मंथली अमाउंट गवर्नमेंट ने फिक्स करके दिया कि इतने से ज्यादा ना हो तो टैक्स फ्री है.
सर इसमें
also, no?
हाँ.
So there would be deduction also, no, in house property.
हाउस प्रॉपर्टी अरे वो तो अब इनकम टैक्स है, आप आईडीटी में कहाँ लेके आए?
No, sir, I'm asking about the monthly rent.
हाँ, क्या पूछ रही है मंथली? एक बार खुल के पूछिए, थोड़ा सा और आवाज थोड़ा सा.
I am not clear that in this example that monthly rate is 60,000 and that will be resident and it will be exempt means in the same premises.
हाँ, उसी सेम प्रीमाइसेस में.
Okay.
तो जब सेम प्रीमाइसेस, हाँ बोलिए.
इसमें ये लिखा हुआ है जैसे कि रेसिडेंस के यूज के लिए, और यही अगर लिख देता कमर्शियल यूज के लिए
तो टैक्सेबल हो जाता.
तब क्या वो अमाउंट का जो
नहीं तब टैक्सेबल हो जाता. नहीं
तब टैक्सेबल
नहीं, मैं जब बोल रहा था पहली बार तब भी मैंने ये बोला था कि जब रहने के लिए होना तो एक लिमिट है. बिजनेस के लिए क्या लिमिट?
पर्सनल यूज के लिए.
हाँ, पर्सनल यूज के लिए लिमिट है, सब चीज के लिए नहीं.
कमर्शियल पर्पस का.
हाँ, फिर तो गवर्नमेंट वही बोली, हाथ पकड़ने के दिए गला दबा दिए. चलिए नेक्स्ट वन, लीज. Lease is an agreement.
That 11th example, it's because it is a residential building or because of that ceiling in the monetary that cap.
Here specifically is because it is for residence purpose, as well as monetary limit is also there. Both are attractive. Okay, that's why I was not using the word residence anytime, but because Sumit used it, so I agreed to that. That is also a reason. In business premises, suppose if you are taking on rent something and you are using it for business purpose, there's no deduction for that. Okay, that's if you pay, you are liable to pay tax on that. Correct. Now, suppose for example, okay, let's keep the discussion on. Okay, now you all participate. I'll ask something. Suppose for example, I have 5 houses, correct, or say 50 houses. I have rented out all the houses. What it seems to be that I am doing is just for because they are vacant, or it is my business?
It is your business.
It is my business. Now I say that you are a government. What you will do? You will give me some exemption, or you will say that income come out, tax borrow. What you will say?
No, not an exemption because you are
correct. You'll say that it is my business, so I won't give you any exemption. Correct. Now I'll give you another example. I have just one home. Okay, but I am staying out of town due to my work. The house that is vacant, I have given it on rent. What do you think? Government won't say that, "Arey, chodo bechara hai. Leave it for it." Don't you feel like jane do? So in that cases where it is for residential purpose or something else, where it is not my business or profession, not profession, business, in that case there is a monetary limit. Okay, but in case it is my business to rent something, so that will never ever attract any exemption. All amount, whatever I receive, will be taxable fully. Correct. Yes, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen.
इसमें एक एग्जांपल और दे सकते थे ना कि जो वो 60,000
रुपए तो बहुत कुछ दे सकते थे.
हाँ, 60,000 रुपए दे रहा है. अगर ये किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का गेस्ट हाउस होता तब वो जीएसटी में चला जाता.
अब नहीं दिया तो क्या करें? चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. लीज. Lease is an agreement whereby the lessor conveys the lessee in return for a payment or series of payments the right to use an asset for an agreed period of time. A lease may be financial lease or operating lease. We all know financial lease, operating lease. Correct. Lease is what we know when we lease something. Okay, which is means it is a kind of rent, you can say, but for a longer period of time. Okay. Example. Messrs. Bank Limited, okay, given an asset under financial lease to Messrs. N Limited. Repayment of financial lease made by the customer to the bank, 780 lakhs, which includes principal amount of 50 lakhs. Financial lease shall be taxable as a supply of service. Messrs. M Bank Limited is liable to pay GST. Correct? It was nothing was there in it. Yes, everybody. Okay. Now disposal. No example. Disposal normally considered as selling of asset when the organization is about to close down and various assets are required to be disposed of. Such transaction will also be covered under supply of liable to tax under GST law. Okay, I told you na, disposal is also kind of sale, but there is a different situation. This is the situation when there is a closure of business. Business is going into liquidation. It is ending up. It is winding up. In that case, the dispose of the asset. Okay, so that is the disposal stage for a business. Otherwise, it's always a selling stage or a transfer stage.
So I have a question. Sir, if there is furniture and no value of that, and at the time of liquidation, the business closing down, that is selling, is there also GST to be given?
For that, there is something. If you remember, we just discussed that without consideration also sometimes it is taxable. आपने जो एग्जांपल दिया ना, यही एग्जांपल उस वाले कंसिडरेशन वाले पॉइंट में आता है. तब जब बताऊंगा आप समझ जाएंगे.
एक्सेप्शनल केस.
हाँ, एक्सेप्शनल केस में आता है कि जहां ये कंसिडरेशन से नहीं हो रहा है, ठीक है, लेकिन फिर भी इस पे आपको सप्लाई मान के टैक्स देना पड़ेगा. उसके पीछे एक छोटी सी कंडीशन लगती है इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट का, और जब हम पढ़ेंगे तब हम समझेंगे, जब समझेंगे तो समझ जाएंगे. ठीक है. Okay, so this was all about all forms of supply. We have just discussed all forms of supply. Correct? Now you got it. Now what actually supply is trying to do, or what actually this GST Act is trying to do. It is trying to make a uniformity. It is trying to make a single chargeable event which can cover the maximum ways of taxation. Correct? So supply not only means sale. Now we know everything. What is supply? Supply means supply all forms of, it includes all forms of sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal. So if you do all these things for some consideration, okay, in your course or furtherance of business, and that is by a taxable person, and whatever you are doing is a taxable supply, then yes, my friends, it is a supply and GST might attract to you. Clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'll again come to the top. So right now we have just discussed this much by spending so much time. Now, next what is saying, it includes import of service for consideration whether or not in the course or furtherance of business. Don't you think we have read it somewhere? Exception part. Yahi to humne padha tha na? That's what we read. If there is the import of service for consideration, no need to see any other point of view. It is a supply and GST will be liable. Correct? That's what we read. Next, activities specified in Schedule 1 made or agreed to be made without consideration is also a supply. I told you, na, with or without consideration will be called as Schedule 1.
Yes,
so this
sir.
was I was saying Schedule 1. Next, okay, now see. Now you are saying supply should be of goods or services, goods or services, goods or services. Correct? It should be of goods or services. But don't you think that sometimes it's very hard to identify whether it is service or whether it is goods? Like same case happened with Archana. She was having, it's not like she don't know it, but yes, that rental part she was having some issue while solving whether it should be goods or services. Correct, Archana? And that is solved by this.
But
Yes.
Surveys, I had a doubt. Like, what kind of service are we really giving? That was
Correct.
what.
Yes, and for this doubt, there is a Schedule 2 in this act, which says that, see, when you are coming to schedule 2, that means you are a supply. Means you have been qualified as supply. How to qualify as supply? Yes, help me out with the parameters. Everyone, participate. What are those parameters to constitute a supply?
Goods or service.
Correct.
And there should be consideration.
Consideration should be there. Okay. Now, anyone more? Archana, wait.
Taxable person, taxable territory.
Taxable person, taxable territory, taxable supply. Okay. One important point you are missing. Archana, can you complete that?
In India.
Correct. Correct. Course or furtherance of business. Correct. Now, once you become a supply, then you have to come to schedule 2. You know, schedule 2 says what? It says that, okay, it is a supply, I understand. But what it is a supply of goods or services. It diversifies, it distincts what should be goods, what should be services. Correct? So that will solve Archana's doubt forever. See, it is written. Activities to be treated as supply of goods or supply of service as referred to in Schedule 2. So once you read Schedule 2, you will come to know why I was saying that rent is a service. Okay, because they have said very certainly and very clearly, anything which you are providing right to use is always supply of service. Yes, everybody. So what I'll do now, I think we have done much further today, correct? Or you want me to continue till 11? Because tomorrow as well we have this. So if you want, we can rest our case today for here. From tomorrow with a fresh mind, we'll start again.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, very good. I thought someone will say continue.
नहीं सर, हम तो बोलने ही वाले थे. अच्छा लग रहा है, समझ आ रहा है. आप चाहे तो कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं.
नहीं, चलिए, कोई दिक्कत. अच्छा, मुझे okay. So yes, so what I'll do, I'll end the case for today over here. We'll meet again tomorrow and we'll start with other discussions. And remember me, okay? I'll tend to call you my friend as more rather than students. Is that, friends? This supply it is awesome. Okay, just believe me. If you get this supply GST is like nothing to you. Scoring in GST will be is a matter of joke for you. Okay, provided, yes, you have to study others also. It doesn't mean you read only supply and go to the exam. Okay, so with these words, I'll end today's session over here. And in case of any doubt, I'm here, and in recorded students, please do ping me. I'll try to solve your query as soon as possible. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, sir.